Welcome back to the deep dive. Okay, so buckle up because today we're diving into something really, really fundamental. I mean, it shapes our whole world, and maybe you don't even realize quite how powerful it is. We're talking about story,
Yeah, story.
but not just, books or movies. We mean the hidden ways stories work on us.
Yeah.
Every single day, how we see ourselves, how we get persuaded, how we connect.
We've been looking at some really fascinating material, stuff that digs into the science of why stories are just so hardwired into us as humans.
Right. And our mission today is basically to pull out the core ideas, maybe the surprising insights from this stuff.
Yeah.
The things that explain why some ideas just explode or why we care so much about what other people think.
And how persuasion actually works underneath it all.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And, right from the start, the sources we looked at throw us this incredible example, Theranos.
Oh, yeah, classic.
You had Elizabeth Holmes telling this amazing story, right? Changing the world with, like, a single drop of blood. So compelling.
Mm.
But then you had John Carey-Rue, the journalist, telling a totally different story. One about, deception, failure.
Two stories head to head.
Exactly. And they couldn't both be true, could they? They were like stories at war. And the result, one story won. Holmes ended up in prison. Carey-Rue got famous.
And it just shows, doesn't it? Stories aren't just fluffy entertainment. They have real power. They shape reality. They decide who wins and who, loses.
It's the perfect setup for this core idea from the sources, that humans, we actually live in two worlds at once.
Right. So first, there's the physical realm. The survival stuff. Eating, drinking, shelter, avoiding getting eaten. Pretty much like other animals.
Okay, that makes sense. Physical world, got it.
Yeah.
But there's a second one.
Yeah, and this is where it gets kind of weird and interesting. They call it the magical second realm. And the really surprising thing is it's not physical at all.
Not physical. What is it then?
It's made of, collective imagination, a shared story, a narrative reality that our brains are constantly building together, connecting with other people.
Hold on. So we're living in the real world, and we're also living inside this kind of shared imaginary story.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And the sources argue that, honestly, most of our thinking happens in the story world. Unless we're, actually starving or running from a lion, our minds are busy with the narrative.
Wow.
And the character we play in that story, our identity, it's just an idea, right? It exists in our head and in other people's heads. But even though it's not physical, it's incredibly important. Existentially important.
How important?
People will sacrifice almost anything for it, even their lives, to defend that idea of who they are.
Sacrifice their lives for an idea of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
That's intense. The sources had some really stark examples, didn't they?
They really did. Think about the Soviet communists who, even facing execution, they affirmed the party's story, the thing they refused with, rather than damage it.
Right.
Or Admiral Jeremy Borda, the U.S. Navy chief. He died by suicide after accusations about his medals, worried he'd hurt the Navy's reputation, the story of the institution he identified with.
Oh.
And Ruth Perry, that head teacher in the UK, took her own life after her school got a bad rating, said she just saw the word inadequate flashing everywhere. Or even, historically, women giving white feathers to men in World War I.
The cowardice signal.
Yeah, shaming them into enlisting because their identity, their story, as a brave patriot, was under attack.
It's actually kind of chilling when you put it like that, and you see smaller versions all the time.
Yeah.
Think about how much you care about how people see you, your reputation, where you fit in your group, at work, online even.
Mm-hmm.
That's the story world, isn't it? Constantly checking your status, your belonging in those shared stories.
Absolutely. It's always running in the background. And this ability to build that shared story world, it leads to another really key idea. Humans as this ultra-social superorganism.
Ultra-social superorganism. Sounds fancy.
Yeah, maybe. But the idea is simple. Unlike, say, chimps who mostly forage alone, early humans hunted and gathered collaboratively. We seem just fundamentally wired to give help and expect help.
And it's not something we just learn.
Right.
It's deeper.
Seems like it. They talk about studies, where toddlers, little kids, they just spontaneously help adults. Open a cabinet, stack some books. Nobody asks them. Nobody rewards them.
They just do it.
Yeah. It seems to be like a core part of being human, just
Right.
built-in helpfulness.
Okay, so we're naturally team players.
Sort of, yeah. It connects to this idea from Michael Tomasello that humans think in terms of we. Our brains can kind of fuse together, collaborate inside a shared story, and tackle problems collectively in ways other animals just can't.
There was that amazing anthropology example, too, the Juhuanzi Bushman.
Oh, right. Polly Wisner's study. Yeah, fascinating. During the day, lots of practical talk, gossip, survival realm stuff within the camp.
Mm-hmm.
But at night, around the fire, the stories changed. They were about people miles away, like up to 200 kilometers, part of their wider network.
So not just immediate neighbors.
No. These nighttime stories, they passed on culture, they healed arguments between distant groups, reinforced the bigger picture. They literally created and maintained this large imagined community through story.
Wow. Story as the glue for a whole society, even people you rarely see. And this brain-fusing thing, it also means we start seeing the world through other people's eyes, especially people like us.
Exactly. That experiment they mentioned with describing the guy Donald, where people's description changed completely based on just a few priming words beforehand.
Yeah, I remember that.
It shows how fast our perception gets altered by the connected brains around us, by the shared narrative we're in. Our view of reality isn't just ours, it's shaped by the group story.
Okay, so this shared story world where we're obsessed with our identity, our character, our connections, this has got to be where status comes in, right? As a major driver.
Absolutely. The sources really zoom in on identity and status. We all have loads of social identities, don't we? Parent, gamer, Democrat, Republican, even like Apple person versus PC person.
Yeah.
Guilty. And these labels, they aren't physical things, but they totally shape how we see the world and what we do, like those architecture students mentioned. Over time, they started actually liking the shiny boxes more, moving away from general public taste.
So the group identity literally changed their sense of beauty. That's wild.
It is. And status fits right in. We seem to have this built-in radar. They call it a status detection system or hierometer. It's constantly scanning. Where do I fit in? Am I respected? And it pushes us to improve our standing.
So status and belonging, they're like vital resources in this story world, like food and water in the physical one.
That's exactly the argument. Feeling respected, feeling like you belong and have value in the group's eyes. It's a massive predictor of well-being. It's not just ego. It's fundamental.
It's about feeling secure in your role within the narrative.
Precisely. A key part of identity growth, which actually leads to one of the most surprising findings in the sources, especially about what motivates us.
Oh, yeah, the money thing. I remember reading that.
Right. It turns out money, straight up cash, isn't the main long-term motivator for most people. They cite this huge review of 92 studies and a massive Gallup poll. Both found only a really weak link between how much people get paid and how satisfied or engaged they are with their jobs.
Seriously. We spend so much energy negotiating salaries, thinking about bonuses, and it barely moves the needle on happiness at work.
It's pretty counterintuitive, isn't it? The research suggests money matters most when it's a symbol of status or recognition. Like, feeling underpaid is demotivating, mainly because it feels like a status threat. They don't value me.
Okay. So it's not the money itself, but what the money says about you in the story.
Exactly. The motivation you get from a raise or a bonus, it's often about what it signals, achievement, progress, recognition. Like one researcher put it, it means a job well done, that you're moving up in the story.
That makes way more sense. So if it's not mostly about the paycheck, what does get people fired up? What really motivates them?
Well, the sources give some great examples, and they all tie back to identity, connection, status, things like those call center studies.
Right, where they just let people chat.
Yeah, just allowing a bit of personal chat, letting them build connections, it massively boosted cohesion and even efficiency. They said it was like adding 50 years of experience because it deepened trust and lowered stress. It strengthened their identity as a connected team, that me and we feeling Daniel Cable talks about.
Connection, not just transactions. What else?
Exercise groups. Turns out, people were more motivated to show up for their workout buddies, not wanting to let them down, than they were by cash rewards or even their own health goals.
Really?
Yeah. The real reward was that identity growth, feeling connected, being seen as reliable, gaining status within the group,
Okay.
and those rapid results teams. Small groups tackling urgent problems. They create this intense feeling of purpose, a space where people can show competence. When they succeed, they feel like heroes. Invaluable. That feeling is incredibly rewarding, pure status and identity boost.
Competence space and virtue space. Those concepts felt important.
Definitely. We are strongly motivated when we have the chance to show we're good at something or that we're good people. Making our own decisions in those areas lets us feel effective, heroic even. It offers status, like that Smile Train donation example.
Oh yeah, the once and done option.
Exactly. Adding that simple option significantly boosted donations. Why? It offered virtue space. It told donors, do this one thing, feel good about yourself, you're a hero, and we won't bug you. It reduced the identity stress of maybe feeling pressured later. easy virtue status.
Right, it makes the act of giving align perfectly with the desired identity of being a good, generous person without future hassle.
Yeah.
Okay, so if identity and status are these huge, often unconscious drivers in our story world,
Yeah.
then real persuasion has to tap into that, right?
That's the core insight. You're not just selling features or facts, you're offering someone a better role in their own story, a way to grow their identity, connect better, or gain status in a world they care about.
And once you see it, the examples are everywhere. Like Apple's 1984 ad, the classic.
Oh, really? Didn't even really show the product.
No. It tapped into those big cultural fears about computers, Big Brother, conformity, and it positioned the Mac as the hero, the rebel fighting back against Big Blue, IBM. So buying a Mac wasn't just buying a computer, it was joining the rebellion. It offered status to people who saw themselves as creative nonconformists. As Jobs apparently pitched it, it was a deal. We're the cool underdogs who deserve more status. Stick with us and we'll get it.
Status through rebellion, and Run DMC with Adidas, same dynamic, different context.
How so?
Wearing Adidas wasn't just a style choice, it was a badge of a specific hip-hop identity. When Run held up his shoe at that concert chanting My Adidas, and the whole crowd joined in.
Yeah.
That created this massive shared reality moment. Instant identity anxiety. If you were a real fan, part of that tribe, you needed those Adidas. It offered connection, belonging, saved the brand, apparently, sold hundreds of thousands of shoes.
Incredible. Just from that one moment. And Molson's I Am Canadian ad, that worked on national identity.
Perfectly. It just listed Canadian things, used Canadian slang, Z's not Z, about not a boot. It screamed, Molson gets you, we are people like us. It offered status by validating this feeling of maybe injured nationalism being misunderstood by Americans. Drinking Molson became a way to perform your Canadian identity.
And don't mess with Texas. Same playbook. No nagging about recycling bins.
Nope. Straight to identity. Littering wasn't just messy, it was an insult to Texas itself, something only an outsider, someone who wasn't a proud Texan, would do. Framing it that way was far more powerful than any rational environmental argument.
So this people like us thing is key. We just instinctively mirror people we feel connected to.
Yeah, it's like social glue. We unconsciously copy speech, posture, even what snacks we choose. They mentioned studies showing how groups develop shared language jargon in emails, slang on forums, and using that language predicts who belongs, who succeeds.
So using your audience's language, thinking how they think.
Crucial. It signals, I'm one of you. Builds instant trust and connection within their story world.
And sometimes this gets used in really subtle, maybe even sneaky ways. That whole green bubble versus blue bubble thing with iMessage, that example was kind of shocking.
It really is something, isn't it? Apple basically designed social friction, making Android users show up differently, visually lower status in iPhone chats. It wasn't about tech limitations, it was about social pressure.
Leading to kids getting bullied, even affecting daily.
According to the sources, yeah. It worked because it tapped into that primal fear of being low status, of being associated with the outgroup. Engineered social anxiety via UI.
Wow. And manipulating status like this, it's not new at all, is it?
Oh, not even close. Players' cigarettes use that heroic sailor image. And way back, Edward Bernays, the PR guru, rebranding smoking for women.
The torches of freedom.
Exactly. Easter Parade, 1929. He deliberately linked smoking to the feminist movement, this rising high-status identity for women independence, challenging norms. Female smoking rates apparently shot up.
Just tying the product to a powerful emerging identity. And speaking of status.
Yeah.
Frequent flyer programs are just pure status games, aren't they?
Totally explicit. Bronze, silver, gold, platinum, it's all about climbing the ladder. The perks aren't just practical. They signal status in that little airport story world. People chase that status so hard they end up with the trillions of unused miles worldwide. All for the status hit.
It's amazing how much behavior that drives. But there's a catch with status, right? The sources mentioned we want it, but we don't like people who seem too grabby about it.
That's the tricky part. Overtly bragging or demanding status often backfires. Think about tribal societies. Guys who tried too hard to be chief often got criticized. Or worse, we instinctively dislike overdogs, maybe because their high status implies our lower status. So ideally, status should be given by the group, not demanded, which makes our relationship with it kind of neurotic and hypocritical, as the sources put it. We deny we care, but we're constantly signaling.
So if you're trying to persuade someone, you shouldn't be the big hero bragging about yourself.
Generally, no. The sources suggest a much better role is the light figure. Think of yourself as the guide, the mentor, operating from the sidelines. Your main job is helping the audience, they're the hero, reach their goal.
So the persuader helps the audience succeed in their story.
Exactly. You help them meet their needs for survival, connection, or status. Like that Effectiva CEO example, Afinia El-Kalioubi. To journalists, she's the light figure, explaining how her tech helps customers connect better. But to her own team, she's the hero, embodying their shared mission, creating status for the group.
Depends on the audience and whose story you're focusing on.
Right, who's the hero in this telling?
Okay, so persuasion is about helping the audience grow their identity or status, and you're the light figure guide. How do you actually structure that story? What are the building blocks?
Well, they boil it down to something really fundamental, even simpler than fancy narrative theories. Basically, Aristotle's 3 acts, beginning, middle, end, or think of it as equilibrium, disruption, new equilibrium.
Simple pattern.
Super simple. Act 1, things are stable, then boom, a disruption. An obstacle appears for the main character, the hero. This obstacle defines what the hero wants. And often, the hero isn't perfect, right? They have a flaw, maybe fear, maybe they just don't know about your solution yet. And this obstacle, it threatens their survival or their connection or their status. That's what makes them relatable. The audience sees their own struggles.
Okay, so the audience connects with the hero's problem. Then what?
Act 2, the struggle. The hero tries to overcome the obstacle, fails, tries again, faces challenges, the messy middle part.
Right.
Act 3, the resolution. The hero finally overcomes the obstacle, maybe with help from a light figure, hint, hint, and achieves their goal. But here's the key. They don't just go back to how things were. They're changed. They're improved. They've grown somehow more secure, better connected, higher status.
And that transformation, that's the payoff for the audience too, the deal.
That's it, exactly. The story implicitly says, hey, if you, listener, act like this hero, learn their lesson, maybe by using our product or adopting our idea, then you can get these rewards too. The story becomes like a mental simulation, a proxy memory showing you how to succeed.
The Jaws example they use breaks this down perfectly.
Yeah, it does. Act 1. Beach community equilibrium shattered by the shark. Chief Brody has his water phobia, an internal flaw, threatening his status as protector.
Right.
Act 2, the struggle, hunting the shark on the boat. Act 3, resolution, shark goes boom, Brody conquers his fear, status restored, maybe even enhanced. The deal for us: face your fears, protect your community, gain status, overcome threats to your identity.
It's so clear when you lay it out. What about the actual words you use? Did language matter much?
Hugely. The sources are really strong on this. Avoid jargon. Avoid overly fancy, obscure terms. It often signals insecurity, not intelligence. Keep it clear. Keep it simple.
And be specific, right? That Nora Ephron quote.
Oh yeah, brilliant example. She didn't just say the room was messy. She said the door opened 6 inches, a sock hanging off the knob, a bottle of Snapple. Concrete sensory details. They make the story world real. They transport the listener. You need to show the audience exactly how your thing delivers the promised survival, connection, or status. You can't be vague about the reward. Show it.
Makes sense. And one more element. Conflict often needs an enemy.
Yeah, stories thrive on conflict. Having a clear enemy, something or someone you're fighting against, really sharpens your own story, your mission. Like that Basecamp versus Microsoft example.
Calling Microsoft Project the dictators.
Right. It wasn't just criticism. It defined Basecamp as the alternative, the anti-project. It gave people a clear side to choose, a story to join. Are you with the dictators or the rebels?
Creates a really clear identity choice. And we see that in politics all the time.
Constantly. Like the Brexit campaign using Project Fear. They didn't just argue their points. They framed the other side's arguments as the enemy's lies, their scary propaganda. It's a way to try and neutralize facts by turning them into just the enemy's story.
Okay, so pulling these threads together, the structure, the language, the enemy, the deal, it leads to these super condensed story nuggets, right? The atomic statements.
Exactly. These short, powerful phrases that pack a whole story inside them. They offer a deal, tap into identity, status, and they're incredibly memorable, infectious.
Like that Microsoft internal slogan.
Yeah. Change the world or go home. This was apparently when the company felt like the bad guys, the nerds. This phrase reframed their work. It offered status. We're not just coding. We're heroes changing the world. It redefined their shared reality. Powerful enough that someone got it tattooed.
Tattoo-worthy. That's commitment. And the Brexit slogans were atomic statements too.
Absolutely. Take back control. So simple, but tapped right into deep anxieties about identity and sovereignty, and Project Fear, labeling the opposition's narrative, and most I Am Canadian. They work because they're loaded with story and identity promises.
It really makes you look at company taglines differently. It's something like Wildlands design-led self-catering escapes,
Yeah.
an atomic statement.
Well, it's descriptive, functional, but it doesn't quite have that story punch, does it? That clear deal about who you become, like an implied story about embracing wildness or escaping conformity might. Atomic statements offer a whole identity package fast.
Right, okay. Now, this storytelling stuff is clearly powerful, but the sources also mentioned, well, the dark side, when it goes wrong.
Yeah, it's important to touch on that. We saw it with Theranos, right? Competing stories literally at war with huge damaging consequences. And sometimes big stories, big ideologies, can actually clash with basic human nature. The sources critique communism, for example, arguing it tried to erase individual identity, which goes against our wiring, leading to, well, bad outcomes. A story that doesn't resonate with our need for individual identity and purpose might struggle.
And hypocrisy can kill a story, too.
Right.
Like companies preaching virtue but acting differently.
Totally. That Cadbury example, a campaign about generosity undermined by news about their tax stuff. It makes the story feel fake, like cynical virtue signaling. Contrast that with Ariel, the detergent in India, linking their product to fighting gender inequality. That worked, the sources suggest, because it gave customers real virtue status, aligning with a cause they care about. It felt authentic.
So the story and the actions need to line up.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And one last danger. Our amazing pattern-finding brains, our need to connect the dots and build stories. Sometimes we connect dots that aren't really there.
Oh.
Yeah. It can lead to really irrational story worlds. The sources mention David Icke seeing reptile conspiracies or that sad case of Jacqueline Aids and her delusion. We are so driven to find cause and effect to make a coherent narrative that if we're not careful, we can build realities that are completely detached from, well, reality.
Okay, wow. So let's try and wrap this up. What are the big takeaways from this deep dive? Story isn't optional, is it? It's like the operating system for human society.
Pretty much. It's the invisible structure for our shared reality, and it's powered by these deep, deep human needs for connection, for identity, and for status within that story. Understanding that is key to understanding, well, almost everything.
And if you want to persuade, to lead, to connect, you have to tap into those needs. You have to speak the language of the story world.
Exactly. And remember the key bits from the sources. Forget just money as the driver. Focus on identity and status. Understand your audience's world. Don't be the hero. Be the light figure, the guide. Use that simple obstacle struggle resolution structure. Be specific. Use vivid details. And make the deal crystal clear how this helped them grow their identity, get more status, connect better.
Right. So thinking about all this, how stories literally build our world, how much we're driven by identity and status. Here's a final thought for you to chew on. What responsibility does that put on you? Both when you're telling stories, try to persuade someone, motivate a team, even just explain something, and also when you're on the receiving end, constantly swimming in this sea of stories, trying to shape how you see the world and yourself.
Yeah. What responsibility comes with that power? Definitely something to think about.